Okay. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I think I'm going to talk about seeing ghosts. How I've seen ghosts in my past. Literally, when I moved into this house, first day, I saw a ghost. How do I describe him? I don't want to give out his name. We'll just call him Mister. Mister. But I have an attic, and I was sitting at the bottom of the steps, and this guy comes walking down the attic steps, dressed in a suit, a tie, well kept. He looked really nice, walking with a cane, and I would describe him as the old Dracula from the old Dracula movies. He's really kept well. And he came down the steps and yelling at me, literally yelling at me, "Get out of my house, you hooligan," type deal. Now, remember, I've been in this house I just moved into this house like day one. So, 10-year-old me, 8-year-old me, whatever it was, sees a guy coming down the steps, telling me to get out of his house. I'm packing up my bags and getting out of the house. I got in trouble by my mom and dad for telling lies. We had a friend over, a family friend, and they thought I was crazy. As I'm walking out the door with my suitcase, and that was really terrifying for me. I want to say I was about 13 or so. My dad and me are walking downtown, and there was a bunch of old people sitting on a park bench, and we stopped, talked to them, my dad and me, and this lady starts describing how she used to work at this house, and the owner of the house used to dress in a nice suit, tie, walk around with a cane, and he would always yell at kids. Which then my dad saw my face turn pale white. And he's looking at me as he's describing how his face looked and everything. And my dad looks over at me. He's like, "I'm sorry for not trusting you." But that was one experience I had. Another one, there would be at my old house. There was a shadow man, I would call him, even though he's not like a shadow man. It's like a mask. Well, one day my dad came home and checked up on me in my bedroom, and I'm looking at my dad, and behind my dad was this tall thing that looks like a shadow with two red eyes looking at me. My dad walks away, and it stays. And I'm like, "Nope, So my dad comes back after me screaming. I was probably about 5 or so. And I describe it. And my sisters have seen that one. So, yeah. Looks like I have some cheese or something on my beard. Oops. But yeah, that's another ghosts I saw. Another day, in this house, shortly after we moved in, me and my dog, I don't have my dog anymore, and my one cat chased a white cat from the attic all the way down into the basement. It was a pure white cat. That one I still see once in a while. And it's just a pure white cat walking down. That one doesn't really do much. It just shows up and acts like a cat. Seen it a couple times. There's another one in this house that's a girl about this high. She's probably around 10 years old or so. And she likes to peek around corners. Like I've seen her in this area. Saw about like here one day. About where the black tea kettle is. Saw about there. And she would peek around corners. And one day I was sitting over in this chair on the dining table. And I was looking at her there. And then she comes around over here and peeks around here. And I'm seeing this. And I'm on TikTok talking to my friends. And I'm seeing this. And I'm like, I'm looking at a ghost. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, it just peeked around went through one corner, came around, peeked, and then came around the other corner and peeked. They're like, you can't see anything over there because you got it showed up here and then showed up over here. So went between this wall and over here. But I've seen that one. But she's kind of like a 10-year-old. She plays around and does stuff. Then there was the day me and my dad took our new digital camera up to the graveyard. There's a graveyard at the top of my hill, which I have videos of TikTok, me just sitting in the graveyards, recording, just sitting up there. But the day my dad and me went up there, again, I was like 10 or so. And we took a photo of just a distant shot of the graveyard. We have this photo somewhere, I don't know, it's probably lost on one of our old computers or digital cameras. But we were in this graveyard alone and just sitting down counting how many ghosts we saw. It was like 25, 30 ghosts. Just people dressed in military garb, people dressed in suits, women in like old-timey garb, kids. It was just filled with just people. And we're like, oh my, what did we catch? It's probably one of the most impressive ghost photos ever taken. Was that one, and we can't find it. I wish we could. But yeah, so that happened when I was a kid. I see shadow men all the time. I can't even. Like, they're just pure black humanoid figures that walk around outside and stuff. See them all the time. They cross the street. They're standing on the side of the road. I go for a walk. I see them. Like, I don't really take notice too much of them anymore because they're just always out there. One of the cats are out there. But, yeah, I'm like, yeah. I see Shadow Man. It's 11:11 and I'm talking about ghosts. But, yeah, I'm here, I'm like, whew. I've seen... One day my sister had a friend come over, and I'm sitting basically there on that. That's a new chair, but there was a couch there. And I see from this area, my sister and her friend come in with another friend. And I'm like, oh, my sister has another friend. And I go up to the room, I'm like, where's the other girl that came in with you guys? And they looked at me like, what do you mean? where's the other girl? I'm like, three of you guys came in. Like, no, there's only two of us. I'm like, there were three of you girls. Heck, I went up and talked to the one. Like, yeah, no, there wasn't. I'm like, okay. Sad thing is, that one was kind of attractive too. That was one of those. I talked to the person. I was like, had a maybe like 10 minutes just taught me talking to this thing, and then finding out that it doesn't exist, or it's a ghost, and being like, huh. I'm no. This isn't ghosts. This is pure demons. I'm gonna talk about now. Like, those are ghosts. The girl, I don't know. She might be an angel. I don't know. Like, I didn't get any bad vibes. I got human from her. But now, we're gonna go talk about the demons I have seen. This one, I used to work at an Islamic center. I clean houses, and I had a job of cleaning this Islamic center. Back in 2020, I guess it was? 2021? Somewhere around COVID. We would clean when no one's around. So we were able to do that, me and my boss. We lost the job because I was actually making more money than my boss. He had to pay me, and they were not paying him. So that's why I lost the job there. But this was an Islamic center. You had to take off your shoes when you were upstairs and stuff like that. If you know how Islam is. But one day, I'm walking here and walking around upstairs, and I'm having kind of like a bad day because I got in like a fight with my one friend and stuff online, and I'm there. I'm not mentally like 100%, but I noticed that the room is kind of like an assy. It looks like someone was with incense or something. It had like a fog to it. But I started noticing that the walls in this building were, how do I describe it? Like tall, or slime was dripping down. It was black, and it was just pouring down the walls. And there were little tiny creatures, like probably the palm of my hand size. These things were tiny, and I can't describe what they look like, besides the fact that they were small. Like, there is no way to describe what these things look like. I can't even picture how to draw one. They were so crazy looking. And these little tiny creatures looked like there was so many of those, they were covering the entire ground. And in the corner, there was what I consider a jinn. If you know what Islam and Korea, China, Japan jinns look like, picture that genie from Aladdin doesn't even come close to this thing. This thing was huge. He was like I would say a burnt skin tone, like how your skin looks after you burn it. This guy, jinn, looks, and this Islamic center has like probably 10 feet ceilings, and his head was touching it, and he was crouched. He was like in like a, not a fetal position, but he was crouched, like bent over, hands on the ground type deal. And he would shuffle his way towards me. He had like jewelry around him. Like he had some type of headgear on and some type of like wrist and stuff like that. I keep doing this because I'm like talking about this. I hope nothing shows up in the background. Actually, I kind of do because I'm the only one down here. So if I see it, I see it. But let's go back. Now he's coming towards me as all these other things are gathering around. And they're all like humanoid like things, but I can't really tell what they are. They're just like they have these little tiny things covered them, but they're like humanoid. So I can't tell if these little tiny things make they human or they are human or what. But there was like two of those behind the Jinn thing. Yeah, I'm calling him a Jinn because, yeah. And I see these things, and they were surrounding me. Like there was like I started noticing that I'm surrounded. I'm stuck in the middle of the room, and I have nowhere to go. I'm vacuuming with the vacuum, and these things are getting closer. And I'm like, I guess this is how I'm going to be the end of me. This is going to be how I go. Was my idea. And all of a sudden, as I'm thinking, oh God, help me type deal, praying, a beam of light comes down from the ceiling, hits the ground right next to me, and a little girl, probably about hip high again, shows up, dressed in white with like silver hair, and just grabs my hand. And for about an hour, I have this thing holding onto my wrist, angel, whatever you want to consider it, and everything else is backed up into a corner. Like wherever she goes, it creams the entire place. It was definitely female, and I actually think it's the girl who was running around my house because she was always dressed in white. But this seemed like she had next level status type deal, like leave him alone type deal. Like, and I don't know what she, like I said, I think she's an angel type deal. I see her once in a while in my house, and I'm like never really anything about her. She's just there, and I'm like, oh, okay. I see her outside once in a while and stuff like that. But that day I was like, oh, I've never seen her look like this. This is a new thing for her. It was just like pure light. Like, we don't have this type of light. It was something new and extreme. Like, you can actually feel it, the beams, and it held off the big thing that's probably, like I said, it was about a 10-foot wall, ceiling, and she was, of this Jinn was crouched, touching the ceiling. And it cowered in fear of her. And I was like, yeah, I think this is, and it was like immediate too. It was like one of these, like, oh, please help me type deal. And all of a sudden it showed up, and I'm like, yeah, okay. So that was some fun day. That was a terrifying day for me. And it kind of felt like peace came over me then. I was like, woo, I feel alive. I feel happy type deal. My friend and me really never got back to like being friends. But I don't know. Actually, I haven't talked to that person in like 2 years, 3 years now. That was 2020, 2021, somewhere now, so yeah. But yeah, that happened that was one day. I cleaned the entire building, 2 floors, and they were like big building too. And I cleaned it with this thing, this girl hanging off my arm, holding me, like guiding me through the entire building with these things coming down the wall and just going right back up. Like, Jesse. Then, I don't know. There's so many things, I don't know what else to pick. I guess I could talk about, I'm gonna save the Thunderbird for another day. Because that and other creatures that I've seen that are like animal related for another video. This is just gonna be demons, angels, and ghosts, I guess. Which I'm 21 minutes in and I'm still talking about them. And I still have a lot more, but I'm just going through a quick one by. Like I said, I see shadow people walking around all the time. Mostly outside. They'll just beings that'll just cross the street. Yeah, I don't see any right now, but yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm like, I believe in the spiritual world. After walking at the Islamic Center, I believe in stuff. And I believe in jinns. Because I've seen it. Of course, it couldn't be the one like Genie makes a wrist jinn, well, it's just like a human. No, it has to be a giant, ugly, skin damaged beast. There was part of me that thinks my family is cursed to see stuff. Because everyone has seen it, like my dad's side down, seen stuff. Not really my mom's side, and my mom's side's the Native American. So you'd think you'll see something in that direction, but my dad's Irish. So you got all the Celtic stuff, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. Trying to think of anything else. The thing with the Mister, the guy Mister that I started this video with, he disappeared when his wife died. His wife died, and the haunting of like wars, like there'll be days where like cinder rails would crash, or walls would just fall down, like, and we come running around and like there's nothing around. There was a lot of noises, a lot of like weird stuff happened, and yeah, she died and he disappeared. So don't know if he was connected because of her or whatnot, but who knows about that. Now, well, there was the day I don't do this other story now I'm going to talk about. Since we're talking about angels and demons stuff. One day I was walking, and I work at I clean a business for a train station. Those trains would stop here, and I have to clean the outside and inside of the building after everyone goes home to work or to sleep. I would clean it. And one day I'm out here blowing off the pavement with my leaf blower, because leaves and stuff. And my grandmother's in the hospital. not doing good. She hasn't been doing good for a couple of weeks. She's been in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and everyone's been going down. And all of a sudden, I have my music player in my back pocket, and I decide to look at it. I look at the time, and I see it's about like 6:50, 6:40, somewhere around there. And I look down, put it back in my back pocket, look up, and there's a big being behind me looking at me through a window. I'm looking at a window, it's behind me, I see it. And best description to give you, Grim Reaper. It looks like the Grim Reaper. And I go, I don't turn around or anything, I'm just looking at it. And I say, she's gone, isn't she? It nods, like you could tell it nods its head. And I'm like, tell her I love her. And it nods its head again. Like, yeah, I understand. And I'm like, bye. I just say bye. And it disappears from my view. Like, just walking back and it just disappears. At that moment, my dad is at the hospital. Almost the exact same time, he looks up, sees the time, and he calculates it, and he's like, oh, okay. And he starts looking at my grandmother, and what he describes is this little thing that's like a fuzzy ball with like points, tendrils or whatnot, coming down. Goes over top of my grandmother's head, does something. Well, see this, like, he sees this little orb or something, get grabbed by it, and go away with it. He can't tell what it is, but at that moment, as he's watching that, the heart monitor flatlines for my grandmother. And he notices the time, I notice my time, like, real quick, this. I come home, and no one's home. Because everyone's at the hospital, even my sisters are at the hospital. Everyone's down. And a couple family friends come over looking for me, and I show up, and they're like, James, where are you? I'm like, I was at work, and they're like, you know? I'm like, my grandmother's dead? They're like, how did you know what we're going to say? I'm like, because I know. They're like, how do you know this? Did they text you? I'm like, no. I'm like, I just know. He's like, my friend is like, what do you mean? I'm like, I saw something. You won't believe me if I saw it. But it was them. And I told my dad when he came home, my dad and me both looked at him, and my dad's like, it's like, you knew your grandmother died after all this? He's like, yeah. He's like, what did you see? I'm like, I was walking at the station and I saw through the window the same story I just told you I told him. And he told me the story about the thing coming down grabbing her. And we both asked, what time was it? And we gave the same time at the same time. Like, we wrote it down on a piece of paper and handed it to each other. And it was like almost the exact same time. Like, I think it was 39 for him and it was 40 for me. So, or something like that. It was like not far off. And yeah. That was that story. I'm trying to think of something else that's like, not creature related, but spiritual related. And I can't really think of any that involves me in particular. That's just like mind blowing, because a lot though, but when you see something almost every day, you really don't take notice to it anymore. Like, I drive home going up the mountain from Walmart, and once in a while you see a coal miner walking up the road at the coal mine who shouldn't be there because this part of the coal mine hasn't been active for years. Or you see something on the side of the road that shouldn't be there. Whew, just talking about it, I'm cold. I'm trying to think of anything else, but I can't. But yeah, now you have some James's ghost stories and demon stories. But I don't know how. I've seen stuff. I'm almost 40. I'm 37, 8, 40. There's a number to free something. And I'm not afraid to admit I see stuff. Heck, it's like I have Christian friends who are like, "Oh, you believe in ghosts? You're not supposed to believe in ghosts. The Bible's..." And then the Bible points out there are ghosts several times. They tell you never to actually talk to any of these, but not because they know what the spiritual world is. But the Bible does talk about ghosts and angels and demons. Heck, when Jesus was walking on the ocean and his disciples see him, they scream ghost. And Jesus never rebukes them for saying ghost. He just says, "Hey, come out with me." So, there's that. There's, was it King Solomon with David's, the king before David. Solomon went to a witch to contact the dead. And what was it? Elijah. I can't remember what shows up. And he's like, rebukes Solomon and "How dare you, you shouldn't do this." Like, when someone comes back from the dead as a ghost, he's a ghost. Ghost means spirit, people. Every time the spirit is mentioned, it's a ghost. That's just the simple truth of it. This is 40 minutes long. 43 minutes long. So I think I'm going to end it here at 43:43. Bye.